Hey everyone, welcome back, and today we're going to do a response video today on why we hate Death Battle. This is a video I came across, and while I do agree with most of this guy's points, and this isn't exactly a debunking, so much so that there were just a couple of points in his video that I kind of had problems with and I wanted to address. So I won't be going over the whole video, as most of the video he actually makes good points and a lot of criticisms towards Death Battle. And I also will be leaving a link to the video in the description if you want to watch the full thing, as I'm only going to be addressing the points that I actually want to talk about. So, with that being said, let's get started.
About Link. He has several different items and techniques from different games. This is the dumbest in fights where you're putting people from games and shows that have one timeline against people who have 30 different incarnations.
Okay, now this is one I see that people bring up a lot when it comes to Link versus Cloud, is that they used a composite version of Link. Well, there's several problems with this. Number one, you cannot compare Link to a character like Superman, because here's the thing. Though I know it's a meme and a joke, and this was done at a point in time when the Zelda timeline was still fucked up. However, here's the thing. I'm going to put this up here now. Despite the fact that there's 3 different parts of the timeline, one where the hero fails, one where the hero succeeds, and one where Ganon is sealed, here's what you have to understand. All of these links are actually the same exact link. It's just the same link in 3 different timelines. And that's a problem with this. You say it's stupid of them to use like a bunch of different items that Link has in other games, but is it though? Because this isn't a matter of composite, unless you consider different timelines to be a matter of composite, but that's not the problem here. All these versions of Link, they are all technically the same version. The Zelda timeline begins with Skyward Sword, and after the hero defeats Demise, Demise curses that the hero, Link, and Zelda and the gods will be haunted by his hatred. His hatred manifests into Ganondorf, and that this hatred will haunt Link and Zelda for all eternity. So when this happened, each and every time that Ganon is defeated or that Link or Zelda die, what happens is they are merely reincarnated due to the fact that they all have Triforces, and essentially they have the power of the 3 gods that created Hyrule in their hands and bodies. And this is constantly confirmed in Twilight Princess, where every time they tried to kill Ganondorf, it failed because the Triforce of Power kept bringing him back to life. And it wasn't until the Triforce of Power disappeared that Ganondorf finally died. So my question to you is this. In this instance with Link, are you saying that you should only pick one of the links from one of the 3 timelines? Is that what you're asking? Now, I get that maybe if you were talking about the Link from the CDI games or the cartoon, I could kind of understand where you're coming from, because they technically take place outside of the Zelda timeline. But in this case, I do have to disagree that there is no such thing as a composite Link in air quotes. Unless you count giving Link all his shit from all the other games, because it's all the same Link, it's just the same Link in 3 different timelines. Now, I get maybe you weren't aware of this, maybe you didn't check the Zelda timeline, but this is something I did have a problem with, and I do have to disagree with you on this one, Sneal.
Same with Link. You selectively choose which items to take from which games. Why not take the Link with the Hylian shield that's unbreakable, the boots that run at high speeds, golden gauntlets, and hookshot? And while you're at it, give him the specific Master Sword that shoots the Skyward Strike and beams. In fact, let's throw in Z targeting, a game mechanic that's in like 3 games. This is fucking stupid. They even have the nerve to state 10 generations of experience. What 10 generations? The 10 games that you took him from? But hey, shut up. It's our show and that's the way we do it, right?
Shut up! It's our show and this is the way we do it.
Okay, but wait a minute. Weren't you the one that said earlier in your video that it's not okay for Death Battle to just pick and choose what to give them? Like how they pick and chose to not give Gara his tailed beast, but give him other things, or give him the amount of chakra he had as a kid. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not standing up for Death Battle here, but here's something you have to keep in mind. Link has an absurdly large arsenal. In fact, it's possibly as big as Batman, if not bigger at times. So, you say that they only should have picked like these very specific tools to have him use in his fight against Cloud, but earlier in your video, you say that it's stupid of them in your video that, oh, they have Wolverine fight Raiden because he conveniently has the ability to cut adamantium. Okay, but why are you then asking for them, oh, just give Link specific things? The thing is that due to Link's absurd arsenal, what Death Battle did was they gave Link all of the most common items that he uses. Because even though Link is always getting all these absurd items, there is a small number of items that he does use consistently in just about every Zelda game. That is his bow and arrow, the power gloves, golden gauntlets, power bracelet, it's all the same thing, his boomerang, his bombs. All of that stuff is things that Link commonly carries around no matter what game he is in. Now, if you ask me, I think that they should just do composite, because here's the thing, as I stated earlier, all of these Links, they are the same fucking Link. The only thing that is different is occasionally his age, because there's one part of the timeline where Link returns and he's a kid again, and then there's another part of the timeline where Link fails and is reincarnated as an adult. Okay, but all that's really different is the gear he carries around. So just give Link his fucking gear, and maybe just not give him the gear that he only uses one time and that is pretty worthless, like maybe his spinner or something. I don't see a problem with allowing Link to have full access to his arsenal. You wouldn't tell Death Battle, oh, when it comes to Superman, you can only pick and choose certain powers for Superman to use. Just give Superman all the fucking powers that he is known to have and is canon. As long as the gear is canon, what is the problem here? This is why I personally think that as long as it's canon, there shouldn't be anything wrong with composite. And in the case of Link, there is no reason not to give him most of his gear. And I know for a fact, because Death Battle admitted this, the only reason they didn't give Link all of his gear is because if they did, Cloud would have stood no chance against Link whatsoever, because Link has one of the most absurdly broken arsenals in history. So my question is to you, when is it okay and when is it not okay for Death Battle to pick and choose And why is composite such a huge problem? Now, for comic book characters, I can kind of understand why, but with characters like Link, I really don't get where you're coming from on this one.
Couldn't find two people who have the same powers? Same with Raiden versus Wolverine. Raiden has a sword, and Wolverine has claws. You couldn't find another character with claws? Or is it that you knew Raiden had the convenient ability to cut through specifically adamantium? What's next? Are you gonna put Wolverine against Magneto? Hulk versus Doomsday. Take a person whose only defense is punching and put him against someone who can't die from punching ever again.
Okay, now this is the big one I really disagree with, because I've expressed my frustration with this before. The idea that you have to have two characters that have the exact same powers fight each other, which I find to be very boring to have to do the whole rock, paper, scissors thing. Because the problem is, when you do the whole rock, paper, scissors bullshit, you end up with garbage like Natsu versus Ace, or Gaara versus Toph, because they both manipulate the earth and they both manipulate fire. That's fucking stupid, that's lame, and that's boring. I'm all for more unique matchups with two characters that may have a difference in power or abilities, but have other elements in common that connect them with one another. That's what I prefer to do, and I think that's how it should be, because I don't like this idea that, oh, they both have fire, they both use a sword, so just have them fight each other. You yourself even mention in your own video that having Guts and Nightmare fight each other because they both use swords, and having Link and Cloud fight each other because they both use swords, was a very stupid idea. So even you kind of acknowledge that having two characters with the same powers fight each other is stupid. So are you suggesting that you wanted Wolverine to fight Baraka or something? Yeah, I'm sure that would have worked out well. And here's the thing. I wouldn't really say that they had Wolverine fight Raiden because he conveniently had the ability to cut through specifically adamantium. No, he had a sword that is able to break down molecular bonds and weaken things to the point where Raiden actually can cut things. Even Death Battle admitted that the question came down to, for Raiden, could his high-frequency blade actually cut through adamantium? And they had to delve deep into the comic books just to find out if it could. They even admitted that if the high-frequency blade wasn't able to actually break down the bonds to the point where he could cut through adamantium, Wolverine probably would have won. And again, I'm not necessarily defending Death Battle, I'm just presenting the reason why, because the way you present the argument is like, oh, well, they had him fight Raiden because they knew he had the ability to specifically cut adamantium. No, they actually didn't know that. In fact, if it wasn't for Misty Knight, they probably would have had no way of knowing if the high-frequency blade could even cut through adamantium or not. And that was the big question of the fight. But I guess you could still argue that maybe it was stupid to have Raiden and Wolverine fight each other, but at the same time, I would argue that having Wolverine fight someone like Baraka just because they both use claws is equally as stupid. A lot of people criticized me for my Blood Royale episode where I had Kimimaro fight Ulquiorra. People are saying, oh, you should have had Kimimaro fight another guy that uses bone manipulation. Okay, but that's stupid because, number one, the ability to manipulate bones is a very rare ability, and as far as my knowledge, barely anyone has this ability outside of Kimimaro. And number two, that would be lame. Basically, think of it this way. It would be like if someone in Pokemon decided to throw an electric type against another electric type. That's stupid, and that would be boring. Why the hell would you do that? And this has always been a problem I've had with, you have to take two characters with the exact same powers and have them fight each other. No, that's stupid. It's just as stupid as having Guts and Nightmare fight each other because they both use swords, or having Link and Cloud fight each other because they both use swords. If you go off of this dumbass logic of have them fight each other because they have the same powers, that's how you end up with really stupid matchups that make no sense, like Natsu versus Ace, a death battle that should have never fucking happened. Let's take the guy that it can literally turn into fire and have him fight a guy that eats fire. Fucking brilliant. Yeah, no, that's actually stupid.
I actually try to justify some of this shit by saying things like, they both need to get up close and personal with a blade, or they're both pink. It's all a bunch of bullshit. 4. Disregarding their fans. The only time they've ever redone a death battle is Superman vs. Goku, and that was only because it would make them the most money. They redid Samus versus Boba Fett, but that doesn't actually count. Plus, I'm pretty sure no one asked for that either. The second time they did Superman vs. Goku, they did the same thing people were complaining about the first time. They took feats from several different comic books, even though Goku has one fucking show, and they basically said Superman's power is limitless, which is dumb. If something's limitless, then how is someone supposed to beat them? How did he get put into a coma if his power is limitless? They just disregarded all the feedback from the fans.
Either criticism or whatever, it's the internet. Everybody has that veil of anonymity so they can just go off. So to us, it's not a big deal at all. It just rolls right off the back. So
I mean, the phrase "don't feed the trolls" definitely applies, and it helps a lot with the show's integrity and the appearance of the hosts.
And our fans argue for us.
And the fans argue for us, yes. And really, what it comes down to is the more people arguing about it and posting videos and blogs and stuff about how we're wrong, that's just more publicity for us. That's more people.
Which we're not wrong, by the way.
Yeah, no, we're never wrong. But that's more people going back and watching the episode, so that's fine. Yeah. I'm all for it. If you want to rant about us, go ahead.
Yeah.
Just tell everybody else about it.
Exactly.
Right?
They never fixed or corrected themselves on anything they've ever made. When people complain, they flat out said they got nothing wrong. They basically just consider every piece of criticism they get good because people will go and watch their show, right? Which is an asshole thing to do. They don't give a shit about you. They just care about how they can sell to you. That's why before every episode, there's an advertisement. Then there's an advertisement at the beginning of the episode. Then there's an advertisement before the actual fight. Then there's an advertisement at the end of the episode. They want you to buy their shit, watch their video, and if you have an opinion, shut up. All this just shows that they don't have any integrity or passion for what they do. They just want your money and a closed mouth, preferably around their cocks. And this, along with seeing your favorite characters constantly killed for stupid reasons and being told that you're wrong or just plain being ignored, has caused me, like others, to do the only thing that we can do: unsubscribe and say that's bullshit.
Well, this was fun, and I hope you all enjoyed this. And if you do, like and sub if you like this content and want more. And please, if you love what this guy has to say, please check out his video, check out his channel. I'll leave it in the description. And if you have any other videos you want me to make responses to or debunk, don't be shy and leave them in the comments. I would love to make more response videos like this. So with that being said, I'll see you guys around for the next video.